Oh yeah, the substances. That was from instructions from management. Okay. Tonight, or because we're just setting the hearing tonight. We're just advertising. Oh, okay. Just advertising. You don't have any public hearings after? No. Okay.
So I figured it must be that time of year, you know?
Does Angelica go to this?
I hope so. I hope not.
You don't have anything for clerks?
Not
We'll take care of your sidewalk first. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, open our hearts that we may hear the voices of our people. Disclose to us thy divine light that we may know and understand things better. Give us encouragement to continue in our work. Give us enthusiasm to excel. Give us commitment to complete our task. Amen.
Amen. Clerk, call a roll.
Mayor Staff.
Here.
Mayor Stafford. Alderman Lincoln.
Here.
Alderman Sahaski.
Here.
Alderman Weston. Alderman Sherman.
Here.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Woodward.
Here.
All present except for Third Ward, Your Honor.
Thank you. First item.
Resolved, the minutes of the council meeting held on March 21st, 2000 are hereby approved.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved, the clerk's report for February 2000 in the amount of $4,500.32 is hereby received, approved, and placed on file.
Do I hear a motion?
I offer.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved, the city clerk be authorized and directed to advertise for a public hearing to be held on May 2nd at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of municipal building relative to a proposed local law which would amend Chapter 147, subsection 147-11, entitled Unsafe Substances.
What's that one about?
It's a problem in our law. There's a law about unsafe substances in the street, specifically like mud and stuff in the street. There's a little problem I found in potentially trying to enforce this against a particular business that there are two different ways to construe some of the wording in there, and I think that talking to Chief Spahn, he and I both had very reasonable viewpoints as to how this could be construed, so this would clear it up. So that if we do end up enforcing it, we won't have a problem.
Okay.
Do I hear
hear a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved, the mayor be authorized and directed to sign a contract between the City of Fulton and Oswego Hospital for services relative to the Employee Assistance Program for calendar year 2000.
I'll move that.
This is just a continuation of last year's contract. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved that the filing fees for civil service exams hereby increased to be consistent with the past practice of the state and city, both receiving half of the filing fees as follows. Examinations, police and fire, filing fee $25, $12.50 for the state fee, $12.50 for city fee. All other, $15, filing fee, state fee $7.50, city fee $7.50.
This was brought about by an increase by the state in the state fees. It was just brought to our attention and will go into effect June 1st of this year. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Motion carried. Next item is the resolution. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a resolution of appreciation for firefighter Daniel Knight. Unfortunately, firefighter Knight is unable to be here tonight due to the fact that he's out of town. But I would like to read this into the record of this meeting. Whereas Daniel Knight retired from the Fulton Fire Department on March 18th, year 2000, and whereas for 20 years Daniel Knight has by his profession pledged his life so that all citizens could rely upon his professional training to feel safe in their homes and could also rely upon his professional training for various kinds of emergency care. And whereas Daniel Knight worked on the game well system in the Fulton Fire Department for several years until its removal, and whereas during his tenure with the Fulton Fire Department, he was always a solid and dependable firefighter who was admired by his fellow firefighters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Michael K. Stafford, members of the Common Council, Fire Chief Anthony Gurria, Assistant Fire Chief Dana Smith, members of the Fire and Police Commission, and the entire Fulton Fire Department wish Daniel Knight best wishes in his retirement and convey to him our sincere gratitude for his excellent service to the city of Fulton for the past 20 years. Chief, would you come forward?
Okay.
Would you see that firefighter Knight gets this? Thank you very much.
Say a couple for Danny.
By all means.
During his time on the department, Danny was a very aggressive interior firefighter, meaning that he was not hesitant at all on getting inside the structures to take care of the business that needed to be done. It's always good to have those types of people. That will be missed. His service was good with the city. The game well system is the alarm system that used to be throughout the city, if anyone isn't familiar with it. For a number of years, he worked regularly maintaining that. until it was taken out when maintenance became a situation that we chose not to deal with anymore, and all the private alarm systems being installed. His service was good, and he'll be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The next item. We have a second retirement and a resolution of appreciation for Lieutenant Michael Calkins at the Fulton Police Department. Before I read the resolution, I had the privilege of working with Lieutenant Calkins for most of his 21 years on the department. And he has been a tremendous asset and will really be missed. He's put an awful lot of extra hours in to develop a computer system that will work to improve the efficiency of the department. And always went above and beyond the call of duty, most of the times without even being asked. Whereas Michael Calkins retired after serving over 21 years in the Fulton Police Department, and whereas Michael Calkins' last assignment was as the Patrol Division Commander in 1997 until present, and whereas he served as the department's warrant control officer and his computer skills aided the Fulton Police Department in a variety of ways, and whereas he was recently honored at a luncheon at the Fulton Police Department, and whereas he served his community faithfully and will be sorely missed by the entire Fulton Police Department, and whereas his professional training ensured our citizens of their safety, where they could feel safe in their homes and on our streets, and whereas Michael Calkins, by his profession, pledged his life for the last 21 years to keep our citizens from the crimes that unfortunately plague our society today. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Michael K. Stafford, members of the Common Council, Police Chief Mark Spawn, Deputy Police Chief Peter Franco, the Fire and Police Commission, and the entire Fulton Police Department wish Michael Calkins best wishes in his retirement and convey to him our sincere gratitude for his excellent service to the city of Fulton for the past 21 years. Michael, thank you. Chief, would you come up here too, please? We'll step right back here and let the press have a little shot of this. Mike, congratulations. Thank you so very much for everything that you've done in the city. Thank you. Great. The road between two thorns.
I'm a little bit taller.
Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement.
Good job, Mike. Good job. Make sure I get it. Damn it. That's what happens when you're going fast. Damn.
I would also like to comment on Lieutenant Calkins' contribution to the city. Mike was truly a mentor to the members of the Fulton Police Department his loyalty, his compassion, his organizational skills and planning, particularly to his last assignment as Patrol Division Commander. He certainly left a true vacancy for us, and it's easy for me to say that he will be missed because he is already missed in the short time that he's been gone. But as the mayor mentioned, his legacy to the Fulton Police Department is going to be, and has been, increased efficiency and effectiveness, particularly through his computer skills. As recently as this morning, a computer database that Mike designed for the County Sex Offender Management Group is being looked upon in Washington, D.C. as a key piece of the county's sex offender management grant, and I look forward to seeing that develop into something that will be revered on a nationwide basis. So once again, I'd like to echo the compliments of the mayor and the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mike, will you be available as a consultant in the future?
Whatever you need here, I'm beholden to the city.
Thank you. Next item.
Resolved that Mayor Stafford, Executive Assistant John Crook, and City Attorney David Hawthorne be authorized to attend New York State Conference of Mayor annual meeting to be held from June 4th to June 7th, 2000, Saratoga Springs.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved that pursuant to Chapter 162, Section 162-9A of the Fulton City Code entitled Abandoned Vehicles, the Code Enforcement Department or agents are hereby vested to enter onto public property at 461 West First Street and remove the abandoned vehicle at said location.
I'll move it.
Second.
Is there a second?
Mayor, just to clarify that, that's on public property, right? That's,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item.
Resolved, the city clerk be authorized and directed to advertise for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, May 16th, 2000 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the municipal building relative to a proposed local law adding a new chapter to the Fulton City Code, Chapter 171, entitled Vessel Regulation Zone.
Do I hear a motion? I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved, the city clerk be authorized and directed to advertise for a public hearing to be held on May 2nd at 7 p.m. in the council chambers relative to a proposed local law which would amend the city charter regarding residency requirements for the planning commission members.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move that one too.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Resolved, the city clerk be authorized and directed to advertise for a public hearing to be held on May 2nd relative to a proposed local law which would amend the city code regarding residency requirements for zoning board of appeal members.
Do I hear a motion?
I offer that, Your Honor, but just to clarify that, that is now the people that don't live in the city are on these boards, and we're going to try to confine it to the city.
No, there aren't people on the boards, but in reviewing the ordinances, we found that there were not residency requirements, and I think it was an oversight, and I believe that the members of the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals should be city residents
Yeah, I agree.
since they're dealing with our city and its future.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify, that's what we're, okay.
That's what we're doing. We have a motion?
I'll second it.
Yes, we do.
Okay, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Is there anyone in the audience that has any business to bring before the council? Is there anyone on the council that has any business to bring before the council?
You know, with Chief Spawn here, I've got a question tonight. I've had some phone calls concerning this issue about these the big car stereos where you can kind of feel them before you see them. And is that something, we've tried to pass a noise ordinance here before, but if we can get around that somehow and regulate that, I know other communities are doing it as a safety issue where they don't feel the driver can necessarily hear, fire trucks, ambulances, and things like that. And really, when you can feel these cars coming, they're 5 blocks away before you even hear them or see them. That's I don't know if we can put a vibration control on these guys or what, but it's just, I think it's a little out of hand.
There is a section within the state vehicle and traffic law that does deal with a decibel limit for sound. However, that requires measuring devices out in the field. And that's always been one of the problems that we've had with measuring subjective noise. One of the things we adopted last year was an internal policy, basically guidelines for disorderly conduct, which basically adopted some of the language that we were toying with at the time when we were discussing the noise ordinance. And basically some of that language that we adopted for an internal guideline consists of identifying objective criteria to demonstrate a noise violation. So currently, most of what we're dealing with for noise violations is a state penal law statute of disorderly conduct, which is not decibel specific. It's just basically subjective. So that's what we're using.
So it is something that if you do come across these vehicles that they can be ticketed in some fashion or not?
It really depends on the circumstances. It really depends on the circumstances of the incident.
It's more, if I might add, it's probably more likely if someone's stopped in front of residents sitting there with something playing than if they're just driving through.
Most of our noise complaints tend to be from properties, fixed properties, as opposed to vehicles. But part of the reason for that is because the vehicles are so transitory that it's pretty much a nuisance in motion.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the state modify the vehicle and traffic law in regards to this issue, as well as I know they're looking at the mobile phones and the use while driving. I think both of these items are under review by the state at this time. If they can change this by state law, it would be easier than trying to do it individual cities and localities.
Well, just the percussion alone, I know there's no way that the individual, whoever's in the vehicle, can hear anything going on.
It definitely can be a safety issue, no doubt about it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Your Honor, I received a letter on April 3rd, 1:15 p.m., and I was asked to read the letter to the mayor and the council and to enter it into the minutes of this meeting.
Go ahead.
The letter is from L.D. Squitieri, dated April 3rd, Common Council and Mayor. Gentlemen, due to my being out of state during this meeting and that of the 18th, I asked to have my comments read into the record through proxy by the city clerk during public address. I request the traffic study scheduled for State Street between South 3rd and Park Streets to be conducted in a thorough manner with all circumstances, contingencies, and peak hours being considered. It should be a mechanical counter rather than an eye count. The instrument should be allowed 1 week of 24-hour surveillance to include all heavy hours, including 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., and all shift changes at Sealright using State Street. My recommendation as a 15-year resident would be to allow the existing sign, which worked well for 10 years, to remain, and relocated 30 feet west towards South 3rd Street, which was its original location, placing it on the west side or right side of the driveway on the south side of State. This would allow OCO vehicles to leave their parking lot using the full maneuvering space allowed by approaching the curb on the south side of the street directly across from the lot. This will also give needed backing room to the 2 residencies housing 5 apartments, making for heavy traffic, which narrowed street during winter months, with narrowed street during winter months. It will allow summertime parking and temporary parking when needed by the north side resident. In closing, let me advise the council of other unique signs in the area. South 3rd Street between Broadway and Rochester, known as the Dentist Block, has a sign, no parking Monday through Friday. Also on Oneida Street, we have no parking driveway. We've all seen do not block driveway. Uniqueness is not a viable reason to remove a 10-year sign. Thank you for the allotted time. I know you will do what is right for all residents involved, not appeasing anyone while ensuring safety and livable conditions for all. Respectfully, Al Squitieri.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please do.
I'd like to just give a little report about how the census is going in our city. I received from the Census Bureau yesterday an initial response, and the initial response from the city of Fulton was 60%. Obviously, that's just the initial response, but obviously we want that response to be 100% if we can get it that way. The good news is we're above the national, state, and county levels as far as anybody else on our census. We are 14 percentage points ahead of Syracuse, and we're in Oswego County. We're the top city in Oswego County as far as initial response. So the committee is very happy with this response, and what we would like to see is those people who have not filled out their forms to please get them in, because it is law that they must be filled out, and if they do not fill them out, there will be census takers coming back to the people who have not responded. Also, for those people who would like assistance in filling out their forms, we do have a census assistance center set up in the community room of the municipal building from 2 to 4 p.m. Wednesdays and Fridays. This assistance center allows all sorts of languages that we have for instructions. We have 32 different languages, so no one should be afraid to come in because they don't speak English. So we're asking everyone to please use the assistance center and to make this as a complete count for the city of Fulton and for Oswego County as possible. Thank you.
And just to add to that, Joe, just want to remind everybody that the volunteers that are working this assistance center did receive training from the Census Bureau, and everything is confidential. So they know what they have to do, and everything will be confidential if you come in for assistance. And it's very necessary for everyone to complete their census form and send it back in. Not only is it required by law, but it also, as it's been said on many television promos lately, it can affect the amount of state and federal funding that we receive here. So we need 100% count. That's what we're looking for. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.